think one misconception that so many people tend to develop nowadays is that in order to succeed in anything that you need to put in a alarming amount of effort. Obviously, when you want to succeed in something, effort needs to be present because no shit, you need to try hard to succeed. But I feel like so many people nowadays don't even pay attention to how they're putting their effort in or why they're doing it. And they just think that because they put effort in, they're owed success automatically. And that was me for a lot of years. I thought that in order to succeed, the only thing I had to do was just work hard. But, I quickly learned that hard work helps because it can help you feel like you're going really fast. It can help you feel like you're on track all the time. But if you don't have really, 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 really strong consistency and you're not resilient, you don't actually want it, then you won't get it. And I mean this in the way that if you only work hard when you feel like it, then it's useless because nobody actually feels like working hard 7 days out of 7 days in a week. You know what I mean? I thought it was more important that I went 7 days a week, whether it be to the field, to the gym, to anything. I thought being more available would be the better option towards success, when in reality, I think the best option and the best and most sustainable way to succeed in whatever you want to get is just sustainability. People don't preach enough about sustainability nowadays, and they only talk about how you need to do these crazy things. You need to wake up really early, or you need to train for alarming hours just to see results. But in reality, all you really need to do is just, let's say you're an athlete, just train more days than you don't. And when you do go, make sure it's quality. That's all. Because in the beginning, you're always going to want to put high effort in. However, that's useless because the motivation's always going to be there whenever you start anything. And I think where you really need to center most of your attention is in the midst of everything, whenever you're deciding whether or not you should keep going or you should just revert and continue your life without going after whatever you wanted. When you're in the midst of that decision, make sure you allow yourself to not make a decision out of how you feel in the moment, because your feelings can be very inconsistent and it can make you feel like you just don't want something, when in reality you're just too burnt out and tired from all the effort that you put in, that of course you wouldn't want something when you don't want anything in the moment. You barely want to get up out of bed, so why would you want that too? You know what I mean? It's like so many people nowadays I see just burn themselves out so quick and are so inconsistent in their daily routine because they fail to neglect the fact that they are human and not robots. Talk about AI all the time being flawless, but we are not AI. We are not robots. We're humans. We are not meant to work every single day out of the week because our minds need rest. I used to think that my mind was capable of anything, and I thought that I didn't need rest because rest was for weaklings. But, countless injuries and so many different lessons learned later, the number one thing I prioritize in my life is proper recovery. It's not hard work. It's not routine. It's making sure my mind's ready to go. There, that way I'm able to not only give myself the best version and the best output I can, but just being better for you will allow yourself to be better for others as well. Because you can't give other people anything if you're empty, if you're not a if you're not in a good mental standpoint, you can't offer anybody else anything because you have nothing to give. You know what I mean? So that's why I think it's so ironic whenever people always just find such pride trying to put other people first, because you're not giving them the best product. You know what I mean? So I just find that pretty ironic. But I would definitely say that, above all, when you start to prioritize your rest, and when you put yourself as a priority and you don't view yourself as a robot or a machine, that is when real progress starts. Not only does it start, it sticks as well because it's sustainable. So many people never start because they think that they need to, for example, exercising. A fat person thinks that, and I've been fat, by the way, I'm not just making fun of anybody in any way. All examples I say, I attest to, and I have lived. Therefore, that's why I can say it, because I've been in those shoes. But, for example, a out of shape or a fat person thinks they're so far gone and they have no motivation to start doing anything because they think that they need to go every single day out of the week. You know, an athlete who's watched thinks that they're so far gone because they're going to need so many more practices to catch up to back to their prime. But another thing people fail to neglect is that progress isn't linear. We were taught that everything is rational in life and that everything is fair. However, if everything was rational and the only thing that mattered was hard work, then the true top of this country regarding hard workers wouldn't be billionaires. It wouldn't be Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk. It would be your local Mexican cleaners. It would be your underprivileged workers who put in 60-hour weeks, 70-hour weeks. It would be those people on the top of the country. But guess what? It does not work that way because hard work and progress is never linear. And that's something I had to learn the hard way. But thank God I learned it, because otherwise I'd probably still be trying to grind my ass off and be burning out every other week and wondering why I wasn't succeeding. What I'm trying to say is that when you put yourself as priority in your eyes and you give yourself good sleep, you take care of yourself, you eat good food, and you surround yourself with good people, then that's how life gets better. The simple things everybody can do, however, they're the hardest because we tend to overlook it all the time. You know, anybody can just eat healthy one day, but, you know, a week into a cut and you see some Chick-fil-A or you see McDonald's, you think, oh, you know, I've been so consistent. Maybe just one day. And then one day turns into 2 days, and then it turns into 3. You know, it's just so easy to go off path, and that's why I think over trying to go to your destination faster, I would prioritize having good direction and, above all, just taking care of yourself and making sure what you're doing regarding your routine, whether it be a daily routine or a weekly routine, make sure that it's sustainable to the point where you could do that for weeks on weeks on weeks and still enjoy it, not feel burnt out, and feel refreshed. That's all. You don't need hours and hours and hours of hard work in order to get anything. All you need is a couple hours of quality work, focus, and above all, rest. And yeah, make sure you guys just Be human to yourself, because so many people out there will look down on you and try and give you a definition of yourself all the time. You know, people all the time have tried to tell me that I'm this label or I'm that label, when in my mind I knew that whatever they say is just false. Not in an arrogant way, but sometimes you have to be hard-headed when you know that other people are just trying to dehumanize you. And you shouldn't need their validation. The only thing you need is to just be there for yourself, because other people can leave your life like this. But, you know, no matter the trials or challenges you go through in your life, you will always be here for yourself.